Welcome back to Math Teacher Institute. Today we're going to begin a multi-part series on preparing for and executing on the first day of school. What to do, what not to do, and how to make it an awesome beginning of the year. Come on in. Hi, I'm Manhar Dalal and this is Math Teacher Institute. I've been a math teacher all over the world and I have a master's degree from the Math for Teaching program at Harvard. If you love math and love teaching math to others, this is the place for you. Alright, so in this video, we're going to talk about some things that we want to prep and we want to prepare for in advance of the first day. And in our next video, we'll be talking about some exciting lessons that you can deliver on the first day to really show your students that this year is going to be an awesome, fun year in math class. So the first thing that I want us all to think about when we're going into our classrooms, preparing for that first day, is doing something to personalize our room. And I'll admit that this was a struggle for me and was definitely not one of my strongest suits as a teacher. But it is very important to have some sort of a personalized element. Maybe it's a few math posters up in the back of the classroom. Maybe you have a few pictures of you and your family, or a little poster board with some kind of fun design or decoration up. But even a small amount of personalization makes it feel, instead of like just a generic classroom, it makes it feel like your classroom. And it's a specific space where those students could feel like that space is designed around them. So even just a couple hours spent prepping and getting something personalized in your room will make a big difference on that first day. All right, the next part of this is actually really important. And I want you to prepare to collect some information from your students. And I always try to frame this as if this was just kind of a not that important little aspect of the first day, but it's actually very important. So I would give students index cards pre-printed with spaces for like your name, your age, your favorite musician, or your favorite sports, or something like that. Something silly, just to get some personal information on them. But I would give them a spot where they could tell me any information they thought that I needed. And this was an opportunity for them to communicate personally with me in secret without having to kind of come up and make a thing in between classes or anything like that, but an opportunity for them to give me private information directly to me on that first day that I might need to know, whatever they thought I needed to know. And I've gotten all kinds of responses throughout the years. Things from, I use an EpiPen if I get stung by a bee, or my family is homeless right now, and so, if I could, if I get sleepy, it might be because we didn't have anywhere to sleep last night and I'm sleeping in a car, to everything in between. But that opportunity for students to provide you with whatever they think is important, and you having the opportunity to get that information right away at the beginning of the year in a quiet, secret way, is really very important, and something you should figure out your own way, whatever's the best way for you, of collecting that information right away and going through it right away, so that if there is an issue that you need to consider, you have that information immediately and you can make the accommodations you need to. All right, the third thing I want to talk about is the syllabus. Now, of course, you have to follow whatever your school's policies are, your department's policies, I understand that. But I'm going to encourage you to really strongly consider not spending a significant amount of time in your first day going over the syllabus. If you have to give out the syllabus, maybe give it out at the very end of class. Otherwise, maybe you can email it or send it out on some sort of online platform to your students. That doesn't mean we're never going to go over it or we're never going to talk about it. We are. But on the first day, it's so boring. And there's not a whole lot of information generally on a syllabus, at least for a math class, that's that critical right now. So I like to make that a very minor part of my class. And what I like to do with the syllabus is I like to cover issues from the syllabus as they become relevant. So that first night, I might give homework. So before I give the homework, I would go over the homework policy on my syllabus. But I'm not going to go over the exam policy on the first day from my syllabus because there are no exams today, right? So I might wait until middle of the week to go over our quiz policy because that's when we're going to start preparing for our first quiz. And I might wait a couple weeks for our first test and whatnot. So we would go over basically just the parts that are most important right now. That way students retain more of it, it's more relevant to them, and we don't have this like 20 or 30 minute session where we're just boring just reading. Presumably your students can read and you can make it part of the homework if you want for them to read it, but introduce it as an organic part of your classroom. Don't let the first day get bogged down in something as boring as just reading 2 or 3 pages of policies. All right, the fourth thing I want to talk about is seating. Before we talk about how we're going to seat the students, one important detail, make sure you go through your roster, look at your biggest class, count how many students are in it, and count how many desks are in your room, because I have certainly been in a situation where on that first day, students showed up and it turned out that I was 2 desks short, and now I have 2 students standing in the back of my classroom, or they're trying to sit at my desk. It just does not start off the year in a good way. So definitely make sure you have enough desks. Now, beyond that, I have a lot of experience going into classrooms, and I see a lot of teachers in math classes have desks set up in groups, and that's fine, that's great. So I ask them usually, why are your students set up in groups? And they say, well, research shows that if we have groups, that it aids collaboration and students learn more and work better together and all that kind of stuff. And that's true, but only if you are going to utilize those groups deliberately to facilitate collaboration, to have group activities, to have other activities that are going to capitalize on that. If you are not, or if your regular day-to-day lessons don't include a lot of group work, groups can actually be, grouping students in pods or whatever you want to call them, can be a negative. Some students may not be able to see as well toward the front of the room. It certainly will create an opportunity for students to maybe chit-chat a little bit more than they would in rows or something like that. So by all means, if you are planning on doing a lot of pair work, pair grading, collaboration, teamwork, group work, whatever you call it, then by all means go for groups. But don't think that just because you put groups into little pods and then that's it, that somehow counts as collaboration, because it doesn't. And in fact, it might actually detract from your lessons and the learning that your students might do. So that's my checklist of things to think about before students actually walk in to your first day of class. In our next video, we're going to be talking about some specific fun lessons that you can teach on the first day that are going to wow your students, that are going to show your students that, wow, this is a different kind of math class. This is going to be a different kind of math teacher, and we're going to have fun. We're going to challenge what we think we know. It's going to be exciting, and your students are going to walk out of math class saying, oh, wow, this is so cool. Man, my math teacher is awesome this year. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Turn on that little notification bell so that you don't miss our next video, because that's going to be a real good one. If this video has been helpful for you, please give it a like and comment below with any tips you have for preparing for the first day. And maybe share this with some colleagues who might benefit from it. Thanks.